build neat stuff. I got a great girl. And occasionally, save the world. So why can't I sleep?
You elected me on a single platform. I will defend this country at all costs. The Mandarin must be stopped.
Hey guys, Lucas here again for another movie review. Today it is for the movie that kicks off the 2013 summer movie season, and that of course would be Iron Man 3, starring Robert Downey Jr., directed by Shane Black, also co-written by Shane Black, and stars the usual suspects such as Gwyneth Paltrow and Jon Favreau as Happy, and then new characters here, the Mandarin, played by Ben Kingsley, and Aldrich Killian, played by Guy Pearce. Iron Man 3, from the trailers you would think have a simple story, but in the movie it's a lot more complicated. There's these terrorist attacks brought on by the Mandarin, and there's this new technology that supposedly helps people regrow their lost limbs called Extremis. And Tony Stark, he's having this post-traumatic stress from the Avengers and the events that occurred, and he's trying to struggling to deal with the terms and events that happened from the Avengers. And he's been obsessively making all these suits, and these terrorist attacks are not helping, so he calls out the Mandarin after an event at the Mans Grauman's Chinese Theater, and it's basically how Tony Stark, he gets attacked by the Mandarin and how he has to deal with these events. I'll give you a quick rundown of my opinions of the first two. I like the first Iron Man a pretty fair amount. I just think that the climax is a bit silly, and even though I love Jeff Bridges, he's one of my favorite actors, I felt that he was kind of a weak villain, not his fault, but I do like the first movie. Second one I really didn't like, and I actually saw that one first because people were just telling me to go see it because they liked it, and then eventually, after the hype died down, I think people agreed that it was pretty lame, so I'm not a fan of the second one. And so how do I feel about this one? I'm kind of in the middle. For the first 45 minutes of this movie, I thought this could be the best Iron Man that I was seeing. I was really enjoying it. I liked the setup. The movie is very well paced. It's never boring. It's never slow. And I really liked how this movie focuses on Tony Stark more than Iron Man. And Iron Man 2 tried to do that in a way, but it really just failed, not making him that likable. This one I really liked. There's a period in the movie where he's stranded in Tennessee and he deals with this kid. He ends up finding this kid, and usually those kid relationships in movies can be terrible, but Shane Black, who also co-wrote this movie, has really good dialogue between them, and surprisingly it was actually one of the best parts of the movie. That brings me to my next point. I really like what Shane Black brought to this. I think the writing is really good, got great one-liners, great dialogue. It's definitely probably the most comedic out of all the Iron Mans, and while that could be troublesome to most, I thought it worked pretty well for most of the movie. I thought that a lot of the character interactions were really well done, but really it's just the dialogue in this movie that makes it more of a Shane Black movie than a Marvel movie, and that depends on how much you like Shane Black or if you've liked his past films, but I think it worked for the movie. And this being his second movie that he's directed, I was surprised by how good the action was. When there's action in this movie, I think it's the best action out of the trilogy, especially the climax, which goes on. It's a pretty big climax, so you've seen it in the trailers with all the suits come out. And that is a pretty amazing set piece. I was surprised, and I was really happy with the creative ways they used the different suits and stuff for just cool shots. And there's an airplane sequence that I thought was cool. It was a little underwhelming near the end. I thought it was going to be a little bit better from the trailer. I can't say why. But for the most part, I thought the action sequences in this movie were really, really cool. And once again, the acting by everyone's pretty stellar. Robert Downey Jr. is great, as always. Probably the most he gets to dive into the Tony Stark role. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, I thought she was good, but she's not in the movie that much. But for when she's in it, she's fine. Ben Kingsley, I'm going to get to him in a minute. I liked him for when he was in the movie, but I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. And Guy Pearce has a bigger role than I thought based on the trailers, and I thought he was pretty damn good as well. Now there's going to be a thing involving Ben Kingsley's character as the Mandarin that's really going to divide people. That's probably what you've been hearing through all the reviews. And I won't say what it is. I'm going to probably do a spoiler review of this movie, though, later on to talk about this more in depth. But there is something with his character that fans of the comics are going to absolutely hate, even though I wasn't a big fan of it, and I've never read any of the Iron Man comics. I'm not a big comic book guy, but I could just tell that the comic book fans would be livid, and to me the twist did take something out of the movie, and I could see why they did it, because they had to juggle a lot of things, but to me, it just seemed way too silly what they did. And that's probably what my biggest problem with the movie is that after the first act or so, the movie gets kind of convoluted and messy. I just feel like they're trying to juggle so many things, and they have to tie up, and so many plot threads and interweaving stories that it just gets a little too much. And I think one of the things is this the extremist storyline, which is kind of the main storyline throughout the whole movie. It's a little silly. I liked it. I thought it provided for some cool visuals, but overall, as an Iron Man movie, it just felt like a little much. I know it's after the Avengers, so you can pretty much do whatever you want in these Marvel movies now. There's no like logic or anything that you need to follow, but I don't know, the extremists at points just felt a little silly, and just the whole story to me was probably, besides Iron Man 2, the weakest. I just thought the film kind of lost its charm near the last 45 minutes or so, and it never just got up to the height that the first third or first two-thirds did, and that twist and the just choices that Shane Black makes in this movie, unfortunately, though, bring down the movie a lot. I'm kind of at odds with this movie. I really like it, but at the same time, I'm very disappointed with it. However, I do think Shane Black improves on a lot of the things from the second movie. I think Rhodes is a lot better as the Iron Patriot. He's given it a lot more to do. Like I said, I think that the action is a lot better. But overall, it's just sloppy. But I still like this movie. It just could have been a lot better. And one more thing before I give my rating, please check out my other channel that I just made. It's Marder Music Reviews. I have all my information on my video that I made on that channel, so I put the link in the description, so please subscribe to that channel and watch the video to get the full update on it. Back to the review though, Iron Man 3 is a good movie, but it just kind of loses steam halfway through, but it's still an entertaining movie to watch, and it's still a fun summer blockbuster, so I'm going to give Iron Man 3 3 stars out of 5. Let me know what you thought of Iron Man. I will probably be doing a spoiler video, but tell me what you thought of it. Did you think it was disappointing? What do you think of the twist? And if you're going to talk about the twist, please do not spoil it. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later, and please subscribe.
You're not a man. You're nothing more than a maniac.
I'm not afraid of you. No politics here. Just good old-fashioned revenge.
We do need backup.
That's your department.
Here's my boys.